exciting. I love it when all these revelations are all coming together. They are all making perfect sense. They are all lining up tremendously. Guys, we're going to go over some really exciting things. One thing, if you really understand Bible prophecy, guys, if you really spend the time to study out messages like this one, it's a great witnessing tool to tell people about the Lord's return. I mean, we're going to go over Obama. You can tell people, look, Obama's in the Bible. This is what he did, and this is what he's going to do next. It's got to shock people to see these things, you know. But again, many of them are just, you know, they just won't get it. Doesn't matter what you do. Kind of like you guys. But anyway, guys, this is so exciting. What we're going to talk about is in Daniel chapter 8, and in Revelation talks about 7 kings, also talks about 7 shepherds in Micah chapter 5. We're going to put all this together and show you and prove to you who Obama is as the little horn, and he's also the Assyrian. Okay? Now, let's go over the prophecy of Daniel 8 real quick to summarize. You have a ram, and the ram, you know, begins taking ground, and he's attacked by a he-goat, okay? And the he-goat has a principal horn, okay? And it's called a notable one. And then out of him comes 4 notable ones, or 4. And guys, what that is what we're looking at is the 4 U.S. presidents that have attacked the Middle East. Okay, it actually started with the 5th one, and that was Ronald Reagan. And it wasn't a war that was, you know, obvious or anything, but it was basically the Cold War between Russia and him backing these rebel troops in Afghanistan. That's when this whole thing started. So he's actually the first king that it mentions there in Daniel 8, okay? But then let's look at the some other details of the prophecy, guys. And look at what happens, okay? So, so you have this he-goat, and he comes from the west, and then he attacks the ram. So the ram is the area or region of the Middle East, or the former Medo-Persian Empire. Okay, so this will include Syria and Iraq and the Persian Gulf War, right? So, but then what you have is this little horn from these 4 notable ones. So you have 4 notable ones, and then comes this little horn. This is Obama, and he grew great. And what he did is he cast down the stars to the ground and stamped on them. Okay, that's TPP. That's the trade agreement. So he did this, guys, already. He's doing a lot of this prophecy already. But he cast down the stars of the heavens. He magnified himself to the host of heaven. So, guys, he is not the Antichrist. He wants you to think he's the Antichrist. He's magnifying himself above the Prince of Hosts. We'll see that. Gabriel mentions that as well. But he grew great, and by him was the daily sacrifice taken away. So, guys, he's going to take away the daily sacrifice. Now, this is going to be in the spring of 2018, okay? So clearly he's going to be doing things beyond his term, whether he's still president and he continues or he has some other role. This is why I'm doing this video, so to get you guys watching, let's watch what he does, okay? Because he's going to take away the daily sacrifice in Israel, all right? And again, he's going to do that in the spring of 2018. And an army is going to be given to him. Okay? Now, it appears this year that Obama is running running for another office, but it's not in the United States. He's all over the world, traveling the globe, and it appears that he's trying to be the next Secretary General of the United Nations. Okay? At which point, guys, it talks about an army will be given to him to take away the daily sacrifice. That could be a UN army. It's not necessary that it is, because in a sense an army has already been given to him, and that's ISIS. And, you know, if you just believe the news and all that stuff, you know, you're pretty naive. But ISIS is a group of mercenaries that's supported by the West, and principally by the United States. So Obama is backing ISIS. So he already has an army, okay? But what we're doing is we're watching these things. We're going to watch what he does. You know, part of what I was thinking was that, okay, there's going to be a great cataclysmic event, and they're going to cancel the elections, and he's going to remain in office to clean up the mess, okay? That could be the case. But the way things are falling into place now, guys, I'm leaning more towards him continuing on a more global scale. And that actually makes a lot of sense with this prophecy, okay? But clearly he's going to take away the daily sacrifice. Again, that's going to be in the spring of 2018, okay? And he's going to cast down the truth to the ground and stamp. Now let's also look, guys, at these and chart out what's happened here with these kings, okay? So you have one, and again, we consider the first one to be Ronald Reagan. He's the first one that was in this area starting these kind of campaigns, okay? So he's our first king, all right? And then from him come four notable ones, but we're counting him as one, and then we have the other U.S. presidents. So okay, now so then here what we have is we have Bush Sr., we have Clinton, we have Bush Jr., and we have Obama. But out of the four notable ones comes the little horn. So then the little horn is a separate role, even though it's the same person. Obama was one of these notable ones, but then from that we get this little horn, okay? All right, so that's from his. So he had a role as one of the four U.S. presidents at war against the Middle East, but now he has a different role, okay? And he's the little horn, all right? And so then we can see clearly that he is fulfilling this role, all right? Now let's also look at some of the verses here of when Gabriel describes this, and he goes and gives Daniel the interpretation, okay? And the ram, Daniel tells him in verse 20, that you saw is the Medo-Persian Empire. And the rough goat is the kings of the Grecian. Now in English it might say king, but it's kings. It's plural. You can see that there's several kings here. But Gabriel says rough goat. In the Hebrew, rough is satire. It's a demon. It's a shaggy goat. So guys, that's exactly what happened with the Baphomet statue. Was displayed in Detroit on the 9th of Av, 2015. It triggered Daniel's timeline, okay? It triggered it. It triggered 790 days till the start of the tribulation. I'll put that video in the description field of this one. So if you guys are new to this channel, you can see that. And the great horn that was between his eyes is the first king. So Gabriel is telling Daniel about the prophecy. So here is the first king that was between the eyes. Now that being broken, whereas stood up for kingdoms, or that also could mean reigns or terms, okay? So then we have four terms of U.S. presidents, okay? Shall stand up a nation, not by his power. And at the latter time of their reigns, or these terms, when the transgressors shall come to full, a king of fierce countenance, understanding dark sentences, shall stand up. This is Obama. This is when he, has this role of the little horn. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. He shall destroy wonderfully. So his power is by using, satanic rituals and different things of how to gain power. Like the Pergamon altar in the Democratic Convention in Denver. He's learned how to use things so as to gain power over the masses, okay? He shall destroy wonderfully, shall prosper in practice, and destroy the mighty and holy people. So he's at war against us. One of the reasons I do these videos, guys, is to get you to realize you're in a war. and he's, he's out to attack you and destroy you. And through his policy called craft to prosper. This is the Iran deal. These are so many things that he's doing by executive order, that he is getting things done and setting the table, TPP. He's setting the whole table of the whole globe for the Antichrist. But he's not the Antichrist. We're going to see clearly that he's not. Okay? And he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace he shall destroy many. So obviously the pride and arrogance, it's unbelievable. And he shall even stand up against the Prince of Princes, but he shall be broken without hand. So, you guys, Satan is evil, and any person that, thinks that they're going to get God's throne, he's going to even be odds, it appears, with the Antichrist himself. So that's the Prince of Princes. He's going to magnify himself above the Prince of Princes, but he's going to be broken without hand. Now, I'll later on be able to tell you the exact year and date when he's going to be killed. It's going to be the year 2021, and that's when I chart out the 7 years of the Great Tribulation. Guys, what I'm working on right now, I'm working on the 7 years of the beginning of the apocalypse. The Lamb reigning, the time of the seals, leading up to the Great Tribulation. So the little horn is on the scene at this time, okay? So let's look at a little bit more of what he does. And the little horn grew great towards the south, towards the east, towards the pleasant land. He grew great to the host of heaven, cast down some of the hosts and the stars. This is the trade agreement. And there's other things he's going to do once I believe it's the UN he's after. And there's other things like executive order he'll do once he's in that role as well. And he's going to cast down the stars of the heavens. So guys, we're going to see, meteor showers and things happen in the sixth seal. Many of those may be connected and related to Obama's activities. So I share all this stuff to get you guys watching, because I'm out in the woods. I don't know what's going on. You guys got to have your ear to the ground to this stuff. Okay? But he magnified himself even to the prince of the host. That's what I'm saying. He magnifies himself, guys, to make you think he's the Antichrist, but he's not. And by him the daily sacrifice was taken away. Again, he's going to take away the daily sacrifice. This is going to be in the spring of 2018, and he's going to do it with a host, some kind of army. All right, and cast down truth to the ground. Now the verses, guys, of 13, and there's 4 questions. All that is in Daniel's timeline. I don't have time to get into it in this piece. Okay. However, now what we want to do is we want to talk about this here, because when we go to Revelation 17 and we look at this prophecy of these kings, we can now make sense of what this is talking about. All right. So we look at Daniel 17 verse 10, and there are 7 kings. 5 are fallen. Okay. So now, what we have to deal with is the element of time. When John is seeing this prophecy, guys, he's seeing it in the future. Some of these people read this like, oh, this is the Roman, no, this is the future. The whole book of Revelation is in the future of John's timeline. So when you know that the Lamb reigns, and the Lamb reigns, guys, remember what we said, he reigns 3.5 years, right? So the Lamb reigns 3.5 years, and that's the beginning of the proceedings of Revelation. So that's Revelation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All that, Revelation chapters 1 through 5, is this period of 3.5 years, okay? So when 5 are fallen, now what you have is these are the 5 that are fallen. You have the first one and then the 4. Because now what you have is you have the little horn. Okay? And John says it right here. He says, 5 are fallen and 1 is. Okay, so 5 are fallen. Those are the... now, even though Obama is the 5th, he's also now a new role. He becomes the 6th. Okay, so he becomes the 6th one, and he is the one that now is, that John sees, okay? because now that we know that this prophecy is all future from John's time, you can all see all this lining up perfectly, okay? And again, this is what Esther's year gives us. These are all these interpretations I'm showing you guys all show us these other things. They're dominoes. They all fall, okay? And the other is not yet come, okay? So there's another that's not yet, and that's the seventh, okay? So there is a seventh that's not yet, okay? And when he comes, he must continue a short space. So, so we have a short time, okay? So the seventh has some kind of political role or office, guys, for just a short period of time. This is the Antichrist, okay? So the Antichrist is going to have some kind of role and position for a short space, a short time. But then watch what it says. And the beast, which was and is not, he is the eighth. So then the Antichrist is going to take on the beast, and he will be the eighth. Okay? And then the Antichrist will take on the beast, and then he will fulfill that role. Okay? And again, you can notice on my channel, I'm not focusing much on the Antichrist, on the Great Tribulation time period, because I'm more or less focused on this time period of the 3.5 years, and of also this. So we have Obama in this time. So he's the little horn. He is the sixth. He is the one, John says, the one that is. Okay? And we also find this, confirmation of this, in Micah chapter 5. So in Micah chapter 5, it says this. And this is where, guys, this is where you have to do your studying, because you have to go into the original language, because the translators did a good job for the most part, but there's major important things that they got wrong at times, okay? And Micah chapter 5 is an example of that, okay? Now, and the Assyrian shall come into our land. The Assyrian, guys, is the little horn, okay? He's also the Assyrian. He shall come into our land, and he shall tread in our palaces, okay? Now, guys, let me read this phrase of what many of your translations will say. Then shall we raise against him 7 shepherds. So you say, oh, okay, well, here's the Assyrian, and we're going to fight him with 7 shepherds. But that's not what it says. That whole phrase, then shall we raise against him, all that is one Hebrew word, and it means to rise or stand up. Okay? So think about it this way. So he will tread in our palaces, and he'll raise 7 shepherds and an 8th principal man. Okay? So now what's happening is Micah is actually prophesying of these 7 kings. You see, there's 7. Now the 7th is the Antichrist, and then he becomes the beast. That's exactly what Micah says here. The 8th principal man, or prince man. So that's the 8th, and that's when the Antichrist becomes the beast. So clearly, within Micah chapter 5, the Assyrian, though, is the 6th, okay? But it mentions these 7, just like the book of Revelation, okay? So we put all these pieces together, guys. Now watch also what it says, verse 6. And they shall waste the land of Assyria, okay? So, so again, all these, and principally the war in the Syrian war is during, you know, these times of these 4 and the little horn, okay? And principally the army used to destroy is ISIS, or these rebel forces, okay? With the sword, and the land of Nimrod in the entrances. And the land of Nimrod is Iraq, and so that's the main places that these wars have taken place, okay? But clearly you have this Assyrian here in Micah chapter 5, and he is not the Antichrist. But when you study this, and if any of you study or are interested in this, look up the Assyrian. The Assyrian, or the king of Syria, many of those prophecies relate to the little horn, Obama, and he is a forerunner. He is not the Antichrist. But we can see clearly that we have these kings. 5 are fallen, okay? Then 1 is. That's the little horn. So Obama was the 5th, and he becomes the 6th. Then what's going to happen, you're going to have the Antichrist for a short space. And then eventually he's going to take on the beast. So Micah 8, the 7 shepherds are not raising against the Assyrian. The Assyrian is raising up 7 shepherds, or is one of the shepherds. Okay? So there we have it, guys. Obama is going to take away the daily sacrifice. A host is being given to him. We've got to watch him carefully over the time period that we're in. It's amazing. But we can see what he's going to do. He is actually at war against us, as is the whole beast system. So guys, you got to fight these things. You got to fight in war against the enemy and gain the victory. But if you take the time to look at videos like this and to understand who Obama is, you can tell people, look, this guy is in the Bible. He's called the little horn. This word little is feminine, and Obama is feminine. And that fits him to the T, guys. So this prophecy is exactly him. I've gone over before how the Baphomet statue on the 9th of Av also fulfills this, casting down the stars of heaven. So I'll put those notes in the description field. I'll also put the link to the video. The Great Tribulation starts in 2017. So guys, God bless you. And again, study this out. See if it's not so. Amen.